We keep hearing about this mass exodus of youth leaving the church, which begs the question, why are so many young people leaving the church today?
Yeah, and I think sometimes the numbers can be kind of inflated, so we always kind of argue about, well, how bad is the problem? But I think it would be naive of us to say there's no problem at all. I think there is definitely a problem with young people who are challenged in their college years and they walk away. Now, I think it's a simple mathematical equation. And here's what it is. And Brett Kunkel, who you also know from Stand to Reason, we have kind of worked together on this, and we have a slightly different variation of this equation. Here's what we see, though. We see that I think there are three things when added together spell trouble. One is we have young people who are really underprepared. They're not adequately equipped to be able to defend and make a case for what they believe. They just aren't. So they come into college, those college years, and they're not adequately prepared. The second thing we see is a hostile culture and university environment. So that's the second component in the equation. So you've got a place where the higher percentage of non-believers are in the academia than are in the general population. A more distrust of our sacred texts exists in academia than there are in the general population. So in that kind of an environment, you've got unprepared young people. Add to that a hostile campus environment. Then you have the third thing, which I think is a big deal killer for a lot of people, and that is just our basic fallen human nature to pursue our desires. So if you can tell a young person, if you could have told me, hey, I've got an alternative worldview for you that gives you a creation story and even gives you a purpose that's different than, and this actually allows you to do the things you always wanted to do without feeling bad about it.
Throw morals on.
Yes. Well, what do you think young people are going to say? They're unprepared to defend what they believe. They're in a hostile environment, and they really have the inner inclination of their fallen desires to begin with. And I think those three things lead to what possible good can come out of that situation. So I think in order for us to respond as the church, we need to at least do one thing. We can't control the fallen nature of all of us. That's where we are. But we could prepare better before we enter into that setting and before we have those drives pull us away from our church. We could actually prepare our young people better. That's the one thing I think we can do as a church, is we can prepare, at least take the first piece of that equation away, and I think our young people will survive a lot better.
The statistics are showing that young people are leaving the church in staggering numbers. And I just felt compelled to figure out why.
Hello, I live in New York City, and this is how the church lost me.
Growing up in church, I think I just got too close and understood how it worked the way somebody understands how a business works.
It's just not real or relevant to me anymore.
I don't think God was who I'd made him.
You have a new generation that's asking questions, and they feel as though those questions aren't being responded with honest answers.
I consider myself to have a really great relationship with God. I don't have it in the way that my mom sees.
The result, it's pretty obvious. Young people are leaving the church, and in some cases, they're even losing their faith.
I don't know if Jesus was the Son of God. That pretty much means I'm not Christian, right?
I am still a Christian, I just don't go to church anymore.
Honestly, I think it's time that we start a real conversation.
We just need to start talking.
Let's start talking.
It needs to be okay to say, you lost me, and not have everyone freak out.
You lost me doesn't necessarily mean forever.
Young people need to express their frustrations, their doubts, their questions. And older Christians need a place to learn and to be heard.
It's about being able to bring up a question about evolution or sexuality without just having a Bible thrown at it.
Look, let's just get it out on the table.
You lost me.
You lost me.
Lost me.
And let's get this conversation started.